What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord, Dr. Professor Dark Joker, here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are Traditional Fans with Opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. One Piece episode 1133. So in this one, we see Kuma overthrow the Sorbet King to basically become the new king now. And while he's officially technically he's more of a figurehead, he doesn't want to rule, so he lets one of the other guys basically run things. Well, he just stays in the church, using his powers to heal people. And, Bonnie, having eaten the HH fruit, grows up. She's able to make herself look older, and her appearance is very similar to Ginny. Now, the king he had deposed gets the navy to help him fight Kuma. Basically, the public story that the news spreads is that Kuma's a tyrant who uses violence to depose the old king. So the Kuma sinks all the navy ships sent to Sorbet, and he leaves, to protect like the Sorbet from the navy. He leaves to as like and he becomes like a pirate. So then and he learned like Dragon tells him that Vegapunk might be able to help with Bonnie's sickness because he had basically gone to various places trying to get intel about the sickness, see if there's a way to help Bonnie. So then he takes Bonnie to Vegapunk. Vegapunk says he can cure her. Now in exchange, basically, Puma has to agree to be part of, basically be a template for the cloning program. Which, since Kuma is more of a pacifist, that's where the term pacifista comes from. And that's, what, so that's supposed to set up, what we're getting in, one, like, with all those, like, Kuma clones that we see in what, you know, during, like, the Summit War saga, and, the Return to Sabali arc. We don't really see them too much these days. I mean, we see them on Egghead. We saw them on Egghead. That's been the most recent usage of them, but they haven't appeared a lot, but when the pacifistas do appear, they make an impression. So, yeah, this was a very good episode. This Kuma flashback is just incredible. And I've read the manga, so I know like basically what all happens with the Kuma flashback, and it is some very good character work. So this is a very good episode. Kuma's great, Bonnie's great, Vegapunk's great. So yeah, I really like this episode. Look forward to the next one. News Exorcist, Chapter 102. So in this one, Gakuro like has to raise like the baby that's like represents his ability, whatever. So basically everyone stops at a hotel. And so the one who's I guess best at dealing with the baby is Shiroha. So basically news ideas to have Gakuro and Shiroha basically take care of the baby themselves, and then later the other girls will have a chance to sub in for Shiroha. And the baby has a very powerful key beam. So basically, when that thing, when the kid pees, it it's actually there's a lot of force behind it, and if it's like it almost floods the entire room that Gakuro and Shiroha are in. Like basically, it's like they're about to drown in pee. Now, something to do with it's cold, so the baby's peeing because he's cold. So Gakuro uses his abilities to make it warm, and the baby stops peeing. There's times where the baby's crying, where Gestro realizes it took a poop, so like she changed its diaper, and like when it looks like it's hungry, like Gakuro grabs some milk. Then I guess the baby wasn't hungry. And you have so then Captain Iguri appears, kind of annoyed that like he's taking care of a Gakuro and her kid, and she wants Gakuro to train in order to get special training in order to get the power level, his power level up to like captain class. So yeah. Now the baby has grown a little bit, so it's like his abilities got I guess is supposed to get better. So yeah, it's a interesting thing. So yeah, so it's like we're about to get into training. That should be nice. I'd rather deal with the train than deal with like deal with him like dealing with romance nonsense, train a kid. And so basically this is all to defeat Suzaku. Then Suzaku meets with she meets with Reise, whatever, and then basically she wants him to resurrect her and be the first one resurrected in like 3 days. They guess to kill Gakuro. And that's how the chapter ends. So yeah, okay, it looks like we're finally about to get into some combat stuff soon. This is kind of a weird way to do a training arc, but hopefully with Iguri there, we can actually get some actual training, not you know family nonsense that I kind of don't care about. Now the pee thing was funny. The whole thing with the baby about to flood the whole room with pee, that was actually pretty funny. I will say that. It's like that was funny. So yeah, I it's definitely better than a lot of the previous chapters. But I want to just move on from this romance nonsense, get on to actual fighting, actual, supernatural stuff. So yeah, it's an okay chapter. You know, looks like there's some improvement. So like, look forward to see how next week goes. See if there's improvement in the chapter. The Elusive Samurai, chapter 207. So in this one, Takagi, who is expected to retire, live the rest of his life in isolation, as expected of nobles who end up in similar positions. He basically just just takes over. He like usurps like Tadayoshi and is like, hey, the basically, hey, everyone follow me, and he makes sure and he absorbs all this divine energy, and then he wants to kill the Usugis. Then like so like Tadayoshi's just overwhelmed. He can't do anything about it. Suzuku says that Takaji's has absorbed a lot of divine energy from across the world, and like when a nation loses divine energy, it causes a lot of problems. So apparently, him absorbing it has caused it. So like the places that will be screwed first are like areas that are farthest away from Japan, like from Takaji. So one of the effects of Takaji absorbing all the divine energy is the Black Plague in Europe. So basically, it's that Takaji caused the Black Plague, and basically, like you know, Tokiyuki's like, all right, the final battle's about that. We gotta kill this guy. So basically, what they want to do is drive whatever malevolent, whatever evil deity is inside of Takaji. They need to get rid of it before killing Takaji, because if they don't, because if they just kill Takaji, his descendants will inherit the power. So like they wouldn't really like Saul as much, so they need to drive out the whatever deities inside of him before like killing him. So yeah, I really like this chapter. It's a lot of setup for the next phase of the war. So yeah, really like this chapter. Interested in next week's Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi Chapter 48. So in this one we see Sakaki fight Yuta, and basically that whole all that stuff going on. So Yuta, of course, made a contract with the with a demon, and so we see them fight like Sakagi fighting Yuta, and so Sakagi's ability some involves gambling, so like rolls the dice, and you gotta hope to get he has to hope gets a good roll to get good, I guess, attacks. Now he gets a bad roll where he basically can't do anything, but he gets his really good roll, like it's like in triples, gives him power attack, and he just wrecks Yuta. And then, Sakagi tells Yuta to like basically return, something about says the sister wouldn't have wanted, I guess, them to fight. Whoever the sister is, looks like it's something from Yuta's past. So yeah, I really like this chapter. Looking forward to next week see who the sister is, what happened to Yuta to cause him to side with the demons. Really interested in that. It's the Witch, chapter 38. So this one, Princess Richia comes across Bakugami. Richia is concerned about Gokuraku and what's going on with him. Bakugami offers to take away her sorrow. Bakugami tells Gokuraku tells Bakugami to basically get away from Richia, and then Richia refuses to let Bakugami take her sorrow because she doesn't want because like for years Gokuraku started looking at her with lonely eyes ever since Bakugami first took her sorrow, and then like but she had some feeling that like she shouldn't let Bakugami take Gokuraku's sorrow, and then like so she can't. She says she can't like give Bakugami her sorrow, and all concern for her brother. So Bakugami's like, uh, basically, he's like, "Are you freaking kidding?" She's like, "You drivel." He's like, "Don't give me that sappy drivel, winch." He's like, "Hug me, give me your sorrow." So like, he like basically like he's very much showing his true colors. He's like, "Bow to me, I am your god." And then Gokuraku starts punching him like he's like done, so has 100% synchro rate, and like starts attacking Bakugami. So now we're seeing like a lot of like what's going on. So it's like we're entering the final phase of the battle against Bakugami. So yeah, I really like this chapter. It has a cool setup. It seems like Richie is finally breaking free of Bakugami's control. So yeah, I really like this chapter. Look forward to next week's Embers Chapter 19. So in this one, we see Narima deal with like basically he's getting beat out by Haitani, like and how he's like losing, like because that's something that's never happened to him before. He's ever like and so like he can't predict Haitani's movement. So with the score basically like you know being what it is, they're basically it's a tie. Like the score's tied 2-2. Everyone's like, the crowd's like, what the heck's going on? Haitani's like, basically, he's like very much looking for. Very much like, I can't freaking do this. So like, there's a final, I guess, counterattack by Kosei, and then and then one of the things we see for the first time is you know so one thing about Haitani that we've not seen is him actually score a goal. Like we have never seen him score a goal. Yeah, but like we've actually we've just seen him play really good defense. He's the fair. He's not a striker. He doesn't score a lot. Then we see like his rival from like one of his first rivals from like the beginning of the series give him an assist, and then he does a headbutt into the goal to put Kosei ahead 3-2 to win the game. So Kosei eliminates Korobayashi from like whichever tournament they're in. So yeah, I really like this chapter. Interesting what happens next week. I don't know if it's gonna end next week or if like this is just the end of this arc. Yeah, I like this chapter. Looking forward to see what the next one does. Start Beethoven chapter 19. So in this one we see Sakami play Beethoven's The Tempest, and then like we see some of his backstory. Like he basically he didn't grow up with a piano in the house. He didn't grow, he doesn't like when people who play piano they do it just for fun or do it like because they appeal in the house because when their parents did because basically they're or from their elites whatever. He wants to like do also he plays very intense and he like the audience is very entertained by Sakami's performance. Yasuo starts getting nervous. He's concerned about the same thing that happened previously happening again. So then after some words with Cahoin, Cahoin gives him some encouragement. Then she tells him that like she's always liked how he played. So then basically, Yasuo's encouraged, and then then he starts, he's ready to play, you know, Beethoven's Moonlight, and that's how the chapter ends, like with him about to start playing. So yeah, I thought it was an interesting chapter. Good, playing from Sakami. Good setup for Yasuo's, I guess performance. So we'll see like how that goes next week. I'm guessing. So yeah, I really like this chapter. Look forward to next week's. Go Loser Ranger Season 2, Episode 10. So in this one, we see like the Ranger Force fighting the Monster Society, and there's like a bunch of stuff going on. We see, you know, Blue Squadron do all their stuff. You know, you have tension between the lieutenant and the new Blue Keeper. How like the lieutenant doesn't really acknowledge the new one, but he does like he seems like a lot nicer guy than the last Blue Keeper. So like he's like doing it, and then we see Hisui and Sakurama escape, like the real Sakurama. Sakurama's injured, trying to save like his sister, who's the Pink Keeper. Then Pink Keeper like does some time thing, whatever, to reverse it, and like she gets really injured. So like basically like what's gonna so we see like all the monsters like dude there's like a bunch of crap that goes down very all over the place. So Fighter D wasn't really in this episode, and Hualipon is you know he's killed by Sakurama and Double X, and then so Runa and Kisu were let go by Blue Keeper who was prioritizing getting other people out, and so obviously Ultrora is still around, so obviously he's gonna be an interesting villain still. So yeah, dude, this is like actually like a this is a very interesting episode. Been nice to see a lot more. See a lot more before like the fights end, a lot more of the fights. But yeah, it is so all over the place. Like, but it's a live action. The action is really good. So overall, I like this episode. I haven't read this far into the manga yet. I do plan on getting. I am planning on getting around to that because it's like one of the manga that I'm binge reading right now. So I do plan on catching up to some point. But yeah, I overall I like this episode. I would have liked it to be slower pace so we could have seen more of the fights before the fights end, get more of the characters. But overall, I say this was a decent episode. So yeah, I liked it. Look forward to next week's. Nice Prison Chapter 8. So in this one, we see, Mitsuboshi, Tera, and Ashikase go inside, an area of the prison called Little Ogikubo, where Professor Prisoner is. So they first think like Professor Prisoner is in the actual Ogikubo, but which would require a prison break to get out. Which Tara's like, I can't let that happen. So like basically they go to like the prison's basement that has like a it's like a small replica of Ogikubo where Professor Plan has brainwashed everyone in that area into being like citizens of it. And so I guess whatever's going on, like Mit- Mitsuboshi and Ashikase like start getting brainwashed like they get brainwashed them and they have to keep fighting it. And then Tara is like she's able to resist it. Then she gets Mitsuboshi and Ashikase to break free of the brainwashing. Then they come across Professor Prisoner who offers to fix the Ashikase in exchange for Mitsuboshi and Tara becoming citizens of Little Ogikubo. So yeah, I thought it was an interesting chapter. It was funny. The whole like Mitsubishi transforming into a monkey was weird, and all the stuff like it was an interesting chapter. I mean, I like this chapter. Looking forward to next week. See what's going on with Professor Prisoner. Odor of the Flame, Chapter 6. So in this one, Odor completes his training under 610. Then basically, so Odor, Eluperco, Philgia and 610 have to like, go into the Ice Kingdom, go on a journey there to fight the Ice Kingdom. But 610's summoned by the king to help on these other battlefields, so Oder, Edu and Philgia have to like basically go without them starting out before they'll meet up with 610 later. So then we see, Edu telling Oder to not be so formal with her since they're the same age, even though she had trained with 610 a lot longer. So they come across this village where, the Ice Kingdom is like, you know, forcing villagers to steal from other villages. And so Oder, Philgia, and Euperco go fight, the Ice Kingdom that are like the soldiers that are there, with I guess one of the captain of the group there being Adolf of the Icebone Casket. So they start fighting Adolf, and which that looks like that's gonna be an interesting fight for like for next week. Interesting like how that fight goes. So yeah, I really like this chapter. I thought Adolf looked like that little demon guy like he looked cool. Like, the visuals were awesome, like how bleak the village is, like the artwork sells that very well. And all the stuff with the flames. So yeah, I really like this chapter. Looking forward to next week's. Cleaner. So this is a British action thriller from 2025. So in this one we have Joanna Locke, aka Joey, and her older brother Michael, who's like autistic. They grew up in London with an abusive father. So Joey like has experienced started doing wall climbing to basically escape the abuse, and then she joined she joined the army, but she left the army because basically there was some soldier who didn't like her, who didn't like being beat by a woman, so she beat him up and quit the army before they could fire her. Yeah. So now she works as like a at as she's a window cleaner at the One Canada Square building in Canary Wharf in the UK. So basically, she and one of the companies there is Agnian Energy Company, you know, and so like she like says so Agnian, comments how some maid like should be at home, this pregnant maid, and Joey makes a comment that if he had paid better maternity leave, she would be. He gets a little pissed and asks what to do, but and he's told that she can't be fired just for being lippy. That's the exact word. Yeah. And so before now she almost gets fired because she's late for work because her brother, Michael, basically got kicked out of, you know, wherever what like the care home he was in because basically he hacked their servers, accused them of stealing money from him, which they probably were, and basically ripping people off. So basically this guy's like a hacker. He's a hacktivist. So yeah, sorry, some issues there. So yeah, and basically like she like has to take him to work with her because she doesn't have time to take him somewhere else. So she asks one of the security guys to like keep an eye on him, but then he like goes away, like slips away, try to join her, but she's like while she's working, she's like, "Hey, go away." They have an argument. Then there's like this shareholder gala held by Agnian. Then this environmentalist group called, you know, the Earth Revolution, and which one of the members, one of the members is Noah, who is a colleague of Joey. So basically, the Earth Revolution does this violent takeover. They use sleeping gas. They hold all the administra- administration of Agnian hostage. So the group is led by Marcus Blake. He wants to expose Agnian's hypocrisy, a lot of the crimes they committed by, committing murder and, cover ups and all that. And basically how like Agnian has been doing a lot of pollution and environmental exploitation despite claims of trying to switch to renewable, which some of that is due to renewable energy not being as clean as people say. A lot of things do require oil, unfortunately. So Jeffrey tries to parley with them. Noah just kills him. Blake didn't want anyone to die. He gets very mad at people being like Blake did not want people getting killed. He just wanted their crimes exposed. So after an argument, Noah kills Blake and people loyal to him, and basically takes over. And, Gerald like hides. Gerald is Jeffrey's brother, and the other owner of the company he hides. Face, and then but he's caught by Noah, and so there's all these like explosives on the hostages, and there's a dead man switch on it that's synchronized with Noah's heartbeat. So Joey and Michael escaped all these eco terrorists, but Joey's on the outside. She uses a SOS to get, and she calls like the cops to get the cops there. The cops are surround the building, and Noah forces all the hostages to confess to their crimes, and then uses a hostage to coerce like Joey into shoot at the crowd below, some of the cops think she's the terrorist, and so some authorities they focus on her. Rightfully so. I mean, she shot the crowd. I mean, I would be wanting to keep an eye on her, probably take her out. Reasonable. Then Claire Hume, who leads the task force, doubts what's going on and is able to talk with Joey and learns about the real situation. Hume tries to negotiate with Noah, and basically, when that fails, she allows Joey to get inside the building to make an opening for the SWAT team. You know, basically, so with the help of SWAT and Michael, Joey's able to get in, and Joey and Michael start kill some of the terrorists, and so Michael finds one of Noah's anti-humanist YouTube videos, where basically in one of Noah announces he plans to blow up the building and all the hostages. Noah puts on the internet and exposes Noah's crusade. Basically, his his plan. He exposes it as it's false. He just wants to kill people, and he transfers to force confessions to a USB drive he has. And so Michael's sent downstairs. Joey, well, and this Joey tells the SWAT team to send her the sent to go in. So Joey tries to lure Noah in order to disable the bomb. And all the SWAT team they secure the hostages, and Joey fights Noah. And then she's able to switch get the trigger device from Noah and puts it to her own wrist, and that I guess changes how the dead man switch works. Then she pushes and then basically she pushes a Noah out of the window and Noah dies. And so basically there's a debriefing with Hume. Joey reunites with Michael, and basically that so the USB drive that Michael has used to expose Agni and corruption to everyone. And so Joey and Michael go to the coast to basically relax. So yeah, I didn't like this movie. It was boring. Like basically, it's like okay, so you have a eco terrorist trying to just kill people, and it's like, look, yeah, there's a lot of scummy people in in the corporate sphere. I mean, that is just the case. And basically their plan is kill them, expose their crimes. I'm like, that's try and do something that's try to make a big splash, but it's like I don't necessarily think it's going to do anything. Basically it's like what's and with the Noah killing those people, that's not going to make people like his cause. Like whatever, like even if he had a good cause, doing all this mass murder is not going to help. As far as all the activism, basically about all the major characters are activists. I'm like, okay, and yes, corruption sucks, but and and Michael Locke, this guy, I'm like, look, the guy, I'm like, this dude really doesn't understand. Was it? Yeah, I get he's autistic. I get he may have some issues, but like he should have learned how to deal with it. Like how to and it's like, look, he should realize that his sister's at work. She doesn't have time to keep an eye on him. He should have realized that. Well, he should have realized that. Like, this is just so freaking this is a retarded movie. It's a dumb movie. People's like, yeah, Die Hard, going through vans, sneaking around, trying, yes. There's a common story that you had I mean, yes, you had Paul Blart, which was basically a comedy version of Die Hard in a sense. This was just like a poorly written Die Hard. I mean, I don't care about the characters. No one comes off as likable either as people or as characters. Because you need your characters to be likable as characters, whether they're morally good or whether they're morally evil. If they're likable as characters, there's a way to enjoy a movie or show, even if they're not likable as people like Eric Cartman from South Park as a character. We don't like him as a person. No, we're not insane, but we like him as a character. There's no one in in this movie that's likable as a character. Like everyone was like annoying or just a bunch of insufferable pricks. I'm like, okay, we like there's nothing good about it. And I only watched this because it was on it had just premiered HBO Max. I was like, okay, okay, I can review it. So I watched it. Of course, I'm reviewing it. I don't even know. I can't even remember if it even released in theaters like near me. Like I know it released in theaters, but I don't believe it released near me. Like, because I think it was a limited release. Partly, I guess, due to it being technically a UK film, not an American film. That might have been partly why. Because foreign films, their releases are relatively limited, probably, which is dumb. I mean, this movie was not going to ever make profit. This will be a flop, but for foreign films, they need to like the U.S. needs to do better at distribution. Like, just open showtimes for foreign films, and you could basically get a lot more success. Now, maybe not with this movie, but with other movies like like anime movies and stuff like that. Like this could have like there's a way to do a good movie about a disgraced military veteran who became a window cleaner fighting off terrorists. There's a way to do a good movie with that. And probably years ago, we could have had a good movie with that, but we don't. This is just a bunch of activist nonsense, and it's not. And the writers let it negatively affect the quality of their work. You know, even like older stuff, even when some some people in Hollywood, a lot of people in Hollywood, yes, people in Hollywood are relatively liberal. They have various political views, but whatever their views were, whether it was conservative or liberal, they used to not let it affect the quality of their work. Unfortunately, current day, that's not really a thing. So this movie definitely the writers let it let their views negatively affect their work. So like there's no one to root for, no characters to enjoy. The acting sucks. So yeah, this is not a good movie. I can't give any praise towards it. Harukaze Mound Chapter 1. So this is a baseball manga based off a one shot that was done a few years ago. So this is just started as Siyushia. So what we see here starting out, we see these two twin brothers, elementary school age, see like this one pitcher do a perfect game at a high school championship while playing for Koshin. So the two brothers decide to become pitchers and play together at Koshin. And these brothers' names are Aokaze Kuzumi and Nagiharu Kuzumi. So they're twins. One has, black hair, one has like dark hair. Well, black hair, blue hair, whatever. And so like Aokaze is right-handed, Nagiharu is left-handed. Aokaze is like a he's like the top he's like the top of his class. He's a right-hander and he's like an ace pitcher, whereas Nagiharu is like he's a left-hand pitcher, and he's like called the untalented half because he seems like not good, and their pitching form's the same, and so basically then a new player who's like a little short named Ibuki Hayama, who's like a catcher, relatively short, very short for a catcher, and then he joins like middle of the season. He's a third year, so same age as Nagiharu and Ayukaze. He wants to recruit Ayukaze to join him. For some, he wants to play with Ayukaze. Ayukaze says no. So, and you could tell that Ayukaze is holding back. So Ayukaze gives him like his best pitch, and Ibuki like just takes it because he's like a really good catcher. And so Nakiharu like is depressed. He doesn't know what to do. And then Aokaze starts like slackly, starts not pitching as well. Then so what happens is Nagiharu asks Ibuki to help him get better at pitching. So Ibuki has him like field some balls to get like a natural throwing motion. You know, figure out how his natural throwing motion is. And what happened is so the overhanded throw that Nagiharu does that doesn't work for him in pitching. So what the fielding balls does, like to show his natural like throwing power, it's actually underhanded. So basically, what Nagiharu does underhand, so like submarine pitching, he actually like does a lot better. He'll strike a batter out, and then that helps the team win. And then and it's the team's like final official game, so they're able to win that. So like basically, and then after the game ends, Ibuki like talks to Nagiharu and says basically while he had previously wanted Aokaze, he wants Nagiharu because he wants a more unconventional player to join him, and he wants him to be like the big like pitcher catcher duo because some pitchers they have like their own specific catchers with them, and so Ibuki wants him and Nagaharu to play for Hinazakura, which is starting up a new baseball school. So and due to like every each team has like kind of like very similar resources and all that, it shouldn't be that hard for like them to be able to form a good team. And then basically like he wants him and Nagaharu to do like to play well because since due to their physiques they can't conform. And then and so basically he wants like their team to be a team of outsiders. And so we see seems like Nagaharu is gonna say yes. Now, how that happens with Aokaze, whether or not he's gonna go with them to this school, who knows? Or whether Aokaze is gonna go to Koshien and be like a rival for Nagiharu, who knows? That might be what they go, or you could have two ace pitchers with a really good catcher, and like basically Ibuki's goal is to prove that any like it doesn't have to be the quote right way for a player to be good. And so yeah, I really like this. It's a really good start. So it's like we're gonna have a rivalry between two twin brothers, possibly if they don't go to the same school, or if they both go to the same school, we could have like a big duo. And it looks like Ibuki's awesome. That is a cool character, like cool character. Uh, it's like interesting, like very eccentric, very like outspoken. So it looks like he could be like a fan favorite character Could be. And Nagiharu could be a good kind of like character who doesn't look very physically gifted but is actually really good. Like this could be like a good sports series. Like sports is like a genre you don't see a lot in manga. At least you don't hear about. I mean, it happens. Obviously with Haikyuu, Blue Lock being like two of your big ones, Rising Impact, Embers, and specifically manga, really. Although Embers might be ending soon. Ace of the Diamond being another big one, Oblivion Battery, Initial D and Racing. So yeah, it's interesting to have a new like sports series because it'd be cool to see how this goes, how the team goes. Looks like this could be like a good series. I mean, interesting. I would like seeing like a good sports comic where it's manga, where it's America, where like sports is such an underutilized genre in like the comic industry, regardless of country. So it'd be interesting to see like what how this series goes. When it stays good, and I think this based on this first chapter, this could be a big hit if if allowed to grow, allowed to blossom. This could be a big hit. So yeah, I really like this chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Well, and that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, you can put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.